We're back with Johanna Bloodborne here at the Catacombs of Carthus, and it is time to continue the mission of finding our way back to Yharnam, and the side quest of defeating the firefighters and linking the flame. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I recommend checking it out to fill in the gaps. I descend into the dark depths of the catacombs, where it seems that no one has ever heard of a vacuum cleaner before. The amount of dust in here is ridiculous. I swear, if I stay in here too long, I'll start coughing up blood, which would be very fitting, but I'd prefer to not turn into a beast. It doesn't take long before I run into a skeleton that has clearly been through some stuff, and is really trying to keep it together. Good thing I'm used to dealing with nonsense like this. I break its bones over and over until it finally gets the message that I'm not the one to mess with. As I get lost and run all around this filthy place, taking a look behind me reveals that I've gained masses of followers. Subscribe if you're a good skeleton. I run across a dangerous looking bridge and watch as I make it crumble below the skeletons.
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger.
I eventually find a cool looking goblet that I want to keep. But since I don't have any Indiana Jones artifact stealing skills, it engulfs me in darkness and I find myself face to face with a giant skeleton that's wearing some expensive looking jewelry. Now, I may be a hunter, but I'm not above a little grave robin. However, it turns out that this guy is still using his accessories and is not too happy about me trying to take them. He attempts to drown me in darkness, but being a Yharnamite, his tricks don't work on me. In my greed to steal his fancy bracelets, I almost don't notice him summoning some skeleton minions. This requires me breaking out of my full jewelry thief mode, because if I can't have the bracelets, nobody can. I break them one by one and the king of the skeletons gets dragged into the abyss, because he just can't handle living without them. No amount of cleaning can save this area, so I decide it is time to move on. I step out of the catacombs and get hit by a surprisingly beautiful view. It's like opening the fridge at 3 AM and it being fully stocked. The cold and, more importantly, fresh air is more than welcome right now. As I walk through the winter wonderland, the architecture truly catches my eye. The vibe here is half cathedral and half Disney's Frozen if Elsa was goth. There is also a lake, Pontiff's failed attempt at making a personal ice rink. Instead of skating, I'm forced to trudge through it at the speed of a snail. Naturally, there's a hidden enemy that thrives in this type of environment, waiting for me. If that wasn't bad enough, after running away in panic, I find myself standing in Aerothal Dungeon. Poison swamps can't even come close to the hatred I have developed for this area back from my first playthrough. Realistically though, I kinda just run through it all, spending way too much time looking for that one cell that lets you get to the other side to get the key for the door or window or hole, whatever it is. Then it's just running past the giant, unlocking a shortcut to be safe, and straight up bolting it past the jailers once I see a good opening, making it to the profaned capital without many issues. There isn't much to do over here other than go and fight another firefighter and experience a mandatory gravity death. As I walk through the fog, Yorm is just sitting there, probably contemplating why he chose to even become a firefighter in the first place. Since this one is a gimmick boss, there's no reason for me to spend half an hour tickling his ankles, so I grab the Storm Ruler. Of course, I died the first time while trying to equip it. The problem though with the Storm Ruler is that I can no longer quickstab, and if you remember what I said in part 1, you know that I refuse to roll against bosses, even if I wasn't locked on. I could make excuses for Yorm, but I will stay true to my words. There will be no rolling in this fight. And honestly, it turned out to be very easy anyway. I'll just read the rest of this playhouse so that you can watch me run for my life. Thankfully we can go back to the snowy city now, but the relief doesn't last long. Upon entering the big cathedral, I am confronted by a man who looks like he spends all his free time gatekeeping fire magic. A bit of an odd thing to do, considering he's helping the firefighters now. Probably clinging to the old times. He dual-wields swords just like me, so this is a real test of skill. However, unlike me, he has the ability to summon a shadow clone, which is incredibly unfair and makes me question my life choices. He had the mimic tier before it even was a thing. Wielding the energy of someone that got rejected from every Bloodborne cathedral, he makes it apparent that he was trained in the ancient art of combo locking my entire health bar. It takes multiple tries and a deep meditation session before I finally manage to defeat him. With Pontiff gone, it's time to do some rooftop climbing again until we reach Anor. It's seen better days. I try to make small talk with some residents, but they pretend that they can't see me. Or maybe it's because of the local firefighter holding them hostage. Don't worry guys, he won't be threatening you much longer. I stare at a copy of the blood-starved beast as I turn some sort of a device to open some doors. For a second I thought I made it home. In the cathedral, we meet Aldrich, who's a pile of something quite disgusting. What's even worse, though, is that he stole Gwendolyn's body, which is highly concerning. My friends out there that I wanted to have a chat with are not safe. I never could have imagined that this is what they were so scared of. There is only one solution here, and that is me being the only one to walk out of this room alive. Unfortunately for me, even though my twin daggers feel as powerful as a greatsword against him, his attacks obliterate my health, as if I was nothing more than just a mosquito in his bedroom. After figuring out the optimal strategy and some second phase RNG luck where he barely used this arrow spam, he can finally stop appearing in my nightmares. Immediately we get teleported back to one of the first areas, but despite the nice feeling of nostalgia, we are not done with Anor quite yet. I homeward bone out of here, spend my souls, and return to Aldrich's cathedral. Johanna isn't quite feeling the Bloodborne in her name yet. While Pontiff's left eye ring gives us some semblance of the Bloodborne rally system, there is an item in Guinevere's chamber that we can grab to improve the character's ability to self-heal a little. The Sun Princess Wing gradually restores a tiny bit of HP. And with this, the build is essentially complete. Dancer is a fight I was fearing. I thought I was gonna get stun-locked to oblivion. I couldn't have been more wrong. My Hunter Dash is perfect at avoiding her attacks, and she doesn't really have any combos that would mean instant death. She's also just like me, with the way she gets intensely into doing a task, but then needs to take a break that lasts 5 business days. This gives me more than enough time to heal when need be. Sometimes she'll pull out this tornado move, where she spins so much that I have more than enough time to deal good damage while she's all dizzy afterwards. The run back to this boss is literally harder than the boss itself, but the way this fight works is just so unbelievably perfect that I can't help considering dying on purpose just so I can experience it again. However, there comes a point where I must be the better dancer to put down the dancer. She would have loved Swan Lake. Making my way into Lothric Castle, I take a peek into the next room to see what awaits me. Actually though, there's another bonfire just a few steps away, so I run past some knights that accuse me of trespassing and then I'm safe. We throw an innocent bystander off a building to send a threatening message to the firefighters and let them know how close we are now. If there is a fight that had me shaking before I even got to it, it would be this one. Once again though, just like the dancer, I was completely wrong. In fact, The Dragon Slayer armor was even easier than the Dancer, and I managed to take it down on my first try. I literally feel like I'm the villain here, just bullying a piece of armor because it was in my way. I had hyped it up in my mind so much, but in the end it never lived up to the fear I walked in with. This is a fight where I think the dash really shined and made it easier than usual. I'm in shock when I enter the archives, because all of a sudden the woman that I killed previously is alive. I try to apologize for my reckless actions and try to explain to her how guilty I feel after killing her.
I'm a monster.
But she's already made her mind up and is ready for revenge. I have no choice but to attack her again, knowing that she's been severely weakened after our first encounter, so that this time it will truly be her end. I dump my head in some wax because I'm just freaky like that and start reading the literature that I can now come close to. Or I mean to say, I would start reading if I could see anything over all the wax. I'm surprised that I can even breathe under it. Finally, I reached the twin princes, who apparently decided that being responsible rulers was too much effort. The guy that can barely walk fights me first, really thinking that he has a chance against my hunter reflexes. Well, turns out, he does. What I thought would be an easy fight starts giving me some trouble when I fail to dodge his supercharged light ranged attack, killing me in one shot a few times. I was confident in my timing though, so I decided to do some testing. From what I can tell, it seems like the quickstep is a little bit shorter than a roll, so correct me if I'm wrong, but this might mean that the timing of the quickstep is a bit tighter. Or I might have just fucked up, I have no idea if this theory is actually correct or not. Well, it's an interesting observation. Anyway, after I finally kill the guy, his brother Lothric decides that this is the perfect time to step in and reveal that he can just revive people indefinitely. As if it was an everyday activity for him. And that's not all. He also starts throwing magic at me. Thankfully, Lorien isn't too bright and doesn't come up with any new moves after his revival that could mess me up. I finally damaged them both to the point where no magic can save them, so they can now rest in their grave that Lothric so kindly offered to share with me. With these firefighters gone, all that is left is the leader. I place all the remaining heads of the firefighters on their respective thrones, and have a final chat with the firekeeper. He tells me that once I manage to link the fire, I will be able to return back home to Yharnam. I get teleported to some kind of a backrooms version of the Firelink shrine, and before I know it, I'm standing at the entrance to a flowery area eerily similar to the one in the Hunter's Dream, with an eclipse in the sky looking like the one reborn is about to pop out. The Soul of Cinder, protecting the fire from being rekindled by using fire himself. How poetic. The Soul of Cinder is a manifestation of all those who have linked the fire before, meaning he knows exactly what he's doing. His sword and magic movesets are easy, but as soon as he switches to the spear or the curved sword with his athletics skill set to 100, he turns into a whole new challenge. This is where I really start wishing that I put some more points into increasing my FP. Just when I think I have him figured out, he switches movesets one more time and starts attacking me with even more fire and even some lightning. There is one combo move that always gets me, but overall, this phase is nothing compared to before. Having used all my Estus in the first phase, the battle becomes increasingly intense as he chips away at the last bits of my health. My quickstep is barely enough to keep up, but after almost losing my sanity, I land the final hit. With the fire rekindled, my journey comes to an end. I refuse to stay in this world any longer. I let myself fade into darkness, hoping that when I awaken, I will be back where I belong. As my vision fades, I hear the distant sound of a bell ringing, and so the hunt begins again.